Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna, this is Coffee, Books, and Bullet Journals, and today I'm going to do my November reading wrap-up. Alright, so this is a little bit late. Life has happened. I normally try to get this out in the first week of the month, but we have some new additions. He's going to be in the video with me today. Probably also the next video or the one after that. I don't know. I'm filming a whole bunch of videos right now, and he's been in my arms for like 45 minutes, like completely out. He was with mom and siblings, but he wanted to go on adventures, so I picked him up and he just wanted to snuggle, so that's what we're doing. So I've been holding him for a couple of videos now. Anyways, that being said, let's talk about some books that I read in the month of November. So, with November being NaNoWriMo, I knew I wasn't going to read that much. We just knew that was going to be a thing that happened. I did not have a good reading month. I ended up actually reading 6 books, which is more than more than I thought was going to happen. None of them were that great. I had my highest ones being 4.5 stars. I didn't have any 5-star rates. So I don't know, I just feel kind of like let down by this month just because there wasn't anything that was like outstanding or great. So there's that. So I've got like the papers down here, my papers down here. So I did read 6 books. All of them were full-length novels, so that was cool. Most of them were audiobooks, but that's okay. I read 1 nonfiction, so I participated in Nonfiction November. We did that. Then I read 4 contemporaries, 1 fantasy. I had a 2-star, a 3-star, a 4-star, and 2 4.5 stars. So, not even a 5-star book. Anyways, I did manage to read 2017 pages, which is pretty good, saying as I was trying to write a novel at the same time. So there's that. I did manage to write a novel. Well, it's still not finished yet. Life, again, puppies happened. But I did write 50,000 words. I'm almost done. We'll get there. I haven't written in like a week and a half, but it's fine. I am going to go from least favorite to most favorite. I feel like that works best. But like I said, I didn't have a ton of like standout books, so that's fine. Alright, so the first book that I guess it wasn't the first one, but the first book I'm going to talk about is my 2-star read, and that was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. This is by far my least favorite Christina Lauren book. It's just not good at all. It was very quick. So this book takes place, it starts out with like a girl who's 18 and like she goes to London with her grandma. She meets this boy and she is the daughter of like a really, really famous actor and nobody knows, and she tells this boy that, and then he sells the secret. Completely changing her life. And then like the next part of the book goes to like at her as an adult. She's a famous movie star kind of because of that, because the story got out. And then she kind of comes back into contact with this guy that originally like sold her secret, but that she was in love with. It was so stupid. No character made good choices in this book. The main character, like there was this love triangle where you're like, why are you hung up on this guy when there's like obviously this other guy who is so nice and so caring and like genuine friend? What? Anyways, Christina Lauren, they have a very like wishy-washy, I loved a book and then didn't like a book, and then loved a book and then didn't like a book. I don't know, maybe are they putting out too many books a year that they didn't quite focus on this? Because like The Unhoneymooners was really good, and then that one came out in May, and then this one comes out in October. Like it came out in October. Like that's not very much time. Maybe we're trying to push out books too quickly, because this one, yikes. Moving on to my next disappointing read. This was a book that was one of my most anticipated reads of the year. I would have sold my soul for an arc. I did have an arc. This book was the first book in the series was one of my favorite books of 2018, and then the second one is probably going to end up on my most disappointing books of 2019. So that is Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Dion. I wanted to love this so much, but this story was originally sold as a duology, and the publisher wanted a third book. So, like, this book suffers from middle book syndrome. I was so bored. This book took me a month and a half to read. It was ridiculous. I didn't want to pick it up. It's a beautiful cover. I love the cover of this book. But it just didn't stand up to it. It didn't stand up to the first book. It didn't have the same, I don't know, I feel like it just didn't have the same stakes that the first one did. It kind of got repetitive, and some of the writing choices that Natasha made, it was like she was listening to all the criticism from the first book and, like, overcorrecting. And so some of the things that were supposed to be in here for, like, comedy and humor were just so over the top that it wasn't, it wasn't that great. So I gave it 3 stars because I appreciate what she's trying to do with domestic abuse and the PTSD and surviving that. I totally appreciate that, and I love it, and I love these girls. Ren and Lei are the most beautiful characters in young adult fantasy. I love them. Their relationship is pure, but it just didn't hold up to the first one. So I'm really hoping that the third book it's not to the point where I'm not going to pick up the third book. That's for sure. I'm definitely going to. But this is definitely a book that let me down a little bit. Where are you going, buddy? All right, moving on to my 4-star books. The first one was the first book that I read during the month of November, so I honestly don't remember much of it, but that was Final Draft by Riley Redgate. I read this in preparation for NaNoWriMo because it was about a pansexual main character. It had on-page pan rep, and my book has on-page pan rep. And so, where are you going, dude? They all love shoulders. I don't know why. Anyways. So this book was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it definitely was a little bit quick. I think that the pacing was a little bit off. But I liked it. I liked the fact that, she was a young writer and things like that. And I liked that plot. I didn't love the pansexual representation. I feel like it was just kind of thrown out there to use, using that word to use that word and to have that rep. So it wasn't, as thought-provoking and as, I don't know, I was going to try to emulate how they did it and then, try to not copy that, but, use it as inspiration. It didn't end up happening. I didn't really like it. So, there's that. I think it reads a little bit younger, even though, it's an older, she's a senior in high school, I think. Like I said, it's been a while. But I think it read a little bit younger than that. So that kind of threw me a little bit. But overall, it was a really good book. I mean, it was a good story. It was, hard-hitting when it needed to be and funny when it needed to be. I did enjoy that. But, not quite exactly what I was looking for when I was going into it. All right, and then moving on to my nonfiction book of the month, and that was Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. I listened to it on audio, and she narrates it, which is great, and I love Anna Kendrick. She's so funny, and this book definitely read that way. However, one of the things with memoirs that, I cannot stand is when they're not linear. When a book kind of jumps back and forth from childhood to adulthood to, they basically try to go on topics versus timelines. It gets really confusing, and that's kind of one of the things that this book did, which kind of irritated me a little bit. So there was that. I don't have much to say about this. Anna Kendrick is hilarious, and if you like her humor and you like when you listen to interviews and things like that, you'll probably like this book. I'm not saying that I didn't. I actually really had a good time listening to it. I just got a little bit confused about timelines. I am the type of person that when I I love timelines. And so I would try to find myself being like, okay, well, this event goes before that event that we were talking about before. It goes after this one. And so, I was trying, I got pulled out of her writing and her story because I was trying to figure out the timeline. Whereas if we would have just talked about it in a linear fashion, I wouldn't have done that. But overall, I'm really happy that I read it. Okay, and then moving on to my 4.5 stars. The first one was a reread. It was for the Literary Alliance, and that was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Still a 4.5 star. I'm going to link my March wrap-up, which is when I talked about this for the first time. My biggest problem with this is that it dates itself. Because it's talking about the 2020 election, and it talks about a very real world, current pop culture references and things like that. And a few years from now, this isn't necessarily going to be as relevant. So I don't like it when books date themselves, but it was still really good. I love these boys with my whole heart and soul. Also, this one, while there is so much controversy about the Goodreads Choice Award, this one won Best Romance and debut novel. Sorry, it's really washing my face out. Anyways, like I said, a lot of controversy on the Goodreads Choice Awards, but it was a good book, and I love Casey McQuiston. She's a gem on Twitter, so I'm proud of her. And then the last book that I read, wow, this is going to be a really short wrap-up. Here, you want to see more Puppy? He's so precious. This is Luke, by the way. We named them all after Star Wars. Anyways, last book that I'm going to talk about is going to take a little bit of time to talk about, and that is A Birthday by Meredith Russo. This is a love story 18 years in the making. I read this for Buzzwordathon, and I really liked this book. I'm going to put it down because I can't hold both the puppy and the book. This book is about a girl who is discovering that she's a trans girl, discovering that she is a girl, and kind of finding that identity and realizing who she is, trying on makeup for the first time, realizing that she doesn't want to do football, that kind of stuff. Her father is a football coach for the high school, and, they live in rural Tennessee, and so this is it's not the norm for that society, and so everything that she was having to struggle with that. Now, this book is powerful. It's beautiful. That being said, there have been some things that have taken place. Hold on. Okay, I'm back with a different puppy. We had another runaway. This is Mace Windu. Anyways, let's talk about birthday. Let's continue talking about that. There have been some things that have happened recently that have come to light about the author. I'm not going to talk about it, but I will, you can look it up. I don't want to, trigger anybody. I'm not going to talk about it at all. It's not great. I will no longer be supporting this author. I'm not going to read any more of her books. However, I want to make sure that I'm separating, at least I read this before that came to light. So I'm trying to separate the art from the author, and I feel like I can do that in this specific situation. Not always. You can't always do that. But in this specific situation, you can. The parties that were involved with what is going on, or what was going on, they still say that they still support the books. If it's something that will save a kid's life or will change a kid's life in any way, they still support those books. So I feel like I can too. If they're intimately involved with the situation and they feel that way, I feel like I can, I'm a completely outside perspective. I don't want to cancel anybody solely based on, what's happened in their past. I don't want to do that. And I want to this book is powerful, and I feel like it will save someone's life. At least one person. I still want this book in the hands of kids that are going through this. I am a cis person who is never had to deal with any of this. So, my voice does not matter. Nobody cares what I have to say when it comes to something like that. I'm not a Known Voices reviewer at all. But I, want to put that out there. that's my like soapbox. I'm gonna get off of it now. And yeah, those are the books that I read in the month of November. And there's a puppy. They are 5 days old today. When you're seeing this, they will be 7 days old. I feel like, I don't know, something like that. Anyways, they'll be about a week old, and they're so precious. And I can't see him because he's the same color as my shirt. But anyways, that is all I have for you today. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the links to my social media will be in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.